Grade 6 and 7 were in a school you probably don't even know of, but it was still part of Valois Park School. Which is now the Pointe-Claire Library. On the corner of Valois Bay and Belmont. Grade 6 and 7 were in that school.
This building is celebrating its 100th birthday. 100 years! Still standing and serving the community it lives in, Valois Pointe-Claire. Currently, it is the Valois branch of the Pointe-Claire Public Library and the home to West Island Citizen Advocacy, or WICA, in their basement. Well, it's currently under renovation.
WICA's mission, with the dedicated volunteers, is to support vulnerable and isolated individuals in the West Island community. More than 30 years ago, we moved into 68 Prince Edward, and we are very proud to be part of Pointe-Claire's heritage.
Now, me being the historical enthusiast that I think I am, I've learned quite a bit about this building, though surprisingly, I have never actually been there. Mais ça va changer aujourd'hui.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Cathy Wilson et je suis la bibliothécaire principale ici à la Bibliothèque de Valois. Bienvenue et maintenant on va passer à travers la bibliothèque pour vous donner une idée de qu'est-ce que ça a l'air et de qu'est-ce qu'on a changé depuis 1923.
Cathy m'a informé des nouveautés de la bibliothèque, notamment de ses rénovations.
Nous avons fait plusieurs rénovations récemment. Nous avons commencé par la peinture, un nouveau tapis a été installé, nous avons acheté des meubles et finalement nous avons réaménagé la bibliothèque pour la rendre un peu plus accueillante et un peu plus au goût du jour. Les bibliothèques en général réduisent le nombre de documents pour avoir une collection plus pertinente pour les usagers. Et aussi, les bibliothèques sont rendues un endroit où les gens peuvent aller se détendre.
Cathy took me on a tour of the whole first floor, which was originally designed to house 4 closed-off classrooms. The classrooms of Valois Protestant Elementary School. Of course, looking at it today, that might be a little hard to imagine. But after studying the blueprints and history of this building, I found some clues. The echoes of its past are still visible today. So let's roll back the timeline so I can give you the context and understanding of how we ended up with this great gem. Before Valois Protestant Elementary School existed, before the idea was even there, before churches, libraries, paved roads, and sidewalks, Valois existed as an incredibly vibrant summer resort town. The unparalleled natural beauty of Valois Bay, with beachfront surrounding much of its perimeter, shallow, crystal clear waters, and the calming blank canvas of its countryside were all very attractive features for those coming in from the city. And Valois remained a resort town from the mid to late 1800s until the very early 1900s, until Milroy and Milroy saw Valois' potential and bought land above the tracks. A lot of land. Advertisements were laced all over the Gazette and the Montreal Star for quite a while, making Valois out to be the most valuable piece of property in all of Montreal. Not too far off from today. And it worked. Valois Bay Heights would become the fastest growing community on the lakeshore by the mid-1910s. With permanent families living year-round, new needs arose in the new community. In those first years, while Milroy and Milroy were selling lots in Valois Bay Heights, no schools existed in the area. The children actually went to a small clubhouse built here by the Valois Citizens Association. But due to the unsanitary and unsatisfactory conditions, the association worked with the Protestant School Committee to expand their school territory. So between 1917 and 1923, the children of Vawa Bay Heights and Vawa were sent to Cedar Park Elementary School. To get there, the children had to walk down to Mr. Keen's grocer below the tracks where he would drive them to the school. A nice gesture, but incredibly dangerous. Having all these children cross the tracks twice a day, this was a huge concern for the community. In June of 1922, the Vawa Citizens Association pushed the Protestant School Commission to have a school built in Vawa. This idea grew to be a favorable option as the school at Cedar Park was actually full to capacity. The population of their entire area, including Beau Repair and Beaconsfield, and of course all the way to Vawa, kept increasing, and the children were all funneling into this one school. By February of 1923, the proposition for a new school in Vawa was accepted and blueprints were drawn up. The purpose of this building was not necessarily to be its own school, but rather to serve as an extension to Cedar Park, under one principal, Miss C. Smith. They broke ground in July 1923, and construction was finished just in time for the 23-24 school year. It would house grades 1 and 2, with only 16 pupils in that first year. Remains of that original schoolhouse still stands, actually right here. This part of the exterior wall and these 4 windows are all a part of that original structure. And the opposite exterior wall still remains as well, inside the library. Now, Vawa's one-room schoolhouse was not only a big relief to parents of these young children, but to the growing spiritual community as well. Vawa United Church and Christ of the Resurrection would hold mass in this one-room schoolhouse, along with their Sunday schools, eventually Scouts, and various other organizations, all held camp in this one little classroom. By the mid-1920s, the population of Vawa continued to increase drastically, rendering their one-room schoolhouse full to capacity nearly after its first school year. In 1925, discussions started about extending the building by one more room, turning this perfect little square schoolhouse into a perfect rectangular schoolhouse to be ready for the 25-26 school year. And again, looking at the exterior wall, you can see right where that extension was made. There's a seam going right down the center of this wall. How cool is that? See? Clues. And it didn't stop there. The population was still growing. Near to the end of this extension, another extension was already in the works to double it in size again. And in 1928, new blueprints were drawn up again to turn this into a 4-classroom elementary school to house grades 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and 7. Building off the 1925 design, this new extension design by Perry and Luke is the structure that we see today. There was a lot happening in a short span of time. Things are moving quickly. Development was happening quickly, which is why we're halfway through this video and only 5 years or so into this building's existence. But we're having fun so far, right? Good. But we had to get here because the school is built now and ready to be enjoyed by the children of Vawa.
I started grade 1, Miss Moore, over on Prince Edward.
Over on Prince Edward.
The old school.
That's me with the little white shirt in 1937 in Vawa Protestant School.
This little red building on the corner of Belmont and Prince Edward. And this was like a square lump on the street, you know.
We went to the school up the street. Mother walked me up every day. I was always late because we patted every dog on the way.
This is the door that the students used to come in. Yeah, they weren't allowed in the front. Apparently the parking lot outside used to be the basketball court, so people have said.
I remember running around during recess, playing tag. And we had swings outside in the back that went really high.
We had our own playground, play baseball and see how many windows we could get a home run on.
At recess, we'd play touch football. So I learned how to dodge.
Some of the kids played cards, I think. They were already gamblers.
And the challenge was put forward, let's do some leg wrestling. So we lay down, you know, with our butts side by side and lifted our legs and then locked them, and I flipped them over. It's empowered me.
So this has been replaced here?
No, it's just been polished. They're original. Having windows that are like this with the handles, and the cool thing about it If you look up, we used to put a hook and pull them out.
You'd have to get a thing and open it.
Yeah, you had a stick that pulled it open so that you could open the windows, but your papers didn't blow away.
Yeah.
The air circulated into the room.
Do they open?
Yes, they do.
I remember at 5 to 12, there would be howling outside the window. Charlie Zollner's dog came to get him every lunch hour because it was quite something that the teacher, who's Mr. Lawson, never complained. He'd look out and say, okay, go home to lunch.
And there used to be a place where they used to serve soup for lunch. My mother used to come and volunteer for that. And it was Campbell's soup, canned soup, that you opened up for lunch. Remember that?
So not every kid went home then?
No.
Oh, I thought all the kids would have gone home for lunchtime.
No.
You know when something feels like it's matured?
Yes.
Aged? It gives you a sense of comfort almost. It's like they
Yeah.
go hand in hand. You know, you just get a nice feeling. You always have that reminder that you're in a space that isn't just built for this, but this is something that's aged to this point.
It's aged to this point, and it's been part of this community.
We were friends with all the people in the school to a certain extent. We all knew each other. We all played together, and we all learned together.
Were there 40 kids there?
Yeah.
Point to somebody here, I'll tell you their name. Yeah, she lived on Queens Road, right on the hill. It was a toboggan hill there. I forget her name.
The school's purpose would have a slight shift once the post-war suburban boom happened in Pointe Claire. And in VAWA's case alone, another expansion wouldn't have been enough this time. A whole new school had to be built. VAWA Park Elementary opened in time for the 50-51 school year, just down the street from the old schoolhouse and across from the park, ready to take the kids away from the original school.
In the new year, we walked over, we had to carry our chairs and our crayon bag. Yeah, we carried our chairs over the little pathway and into the school.
But even that wasn't enough. And just as our little schoolhouse was built for the overflow of Cedar Park students, it was there again to hold the overflow of VAWA Park students, housing the older grades, kind of like a middle school.
I went to grade 7 here, and the reason I went to grade 7 at this building was because they ran out of room at VAWA Park.
And it stayed this way till the school board had a chance to catch up with what seemed like an endless population boom, leaving the original schoolhouse, well, not really a schoolhouse anymore. So, what happened in between? It was from it being a school to the city purchasing the building and it becoming a public library.
Yeah. So it was used by the board for a whole variety of purposes. As the population of the students expanded, so did all of the services that they needed to get materials like instructional materials to supplement the course of study. In those days, we did a lot of it ourselves, created aids both for the teachers to understand the course of study, but also for the students.
So for a period of, let's say,
20 years.
Let's say 20 years, they would have, when talking about that building, they would have talked about the IMC.
The IMC, Instructional Materials Center, both office space and like library space.
What do you mean by library?
Well, a film library. So they had a large film library of everything from slides to film strips to full-length 16mm films.
Sounds like the Library of Alexandria to me. We describe it.
Yeah.
The content that could have been in there, and I'm wondering where it ended up. Le bâtiment a servi sa communauté avec cette fonction jusqu'en 1991, lorsque la ville l'a saisie et l'a rénovée encore une fois pour qu'elle devienne la bibliothèque de Pointe-Claire, succursale de Valois.
Nous avons été ici depuis 1991. C'est une période assez prolongée pour une bibliothèque et pour apporter un certain appui à la communauté de Valois.
C'est ce qu'on appelle une bibliothèque de proximité, proche des écoles, proche des garderies, proche du parc, proche des gens de Valois, donc proche des besoins de Valois, vraiment pour répondre aux besoins des gens qui sont ici.
Mais l'histoire de la bibliothèque n'a pas commencé en 1991. Elle avait déjà ses racines dans sa communauté. Enfin, la bibliothèque de Valois était la première bibliothèque municipale, pas juste à Pointe-Claire, mais possiblement dans tout l'ouest de l'île.
La bibliothèque de Valois existe depuis longtemps. Dans les années 40, ils ont commencé dans les garages de citoyens et éventuellement, ils ont déménagé dans un édifice en bois très rudimentaire. Vers la fin des années 50, on voyait que le bâtiment rudimentaire avait besoin d'être remplacé. Alors, il y a eu un levée de fonds parmi les citoyens et ils ont réussi à avoir un peu d'argent et avec l'aide de la ville, ils ont pu construire la bibliothèque de Valois qui existait jusqu'en 1991 sur le coin de Queen et Summerhill.
La bibliothèque centrale a été complétée en 1974 pour servir la ville entière de Pointe-Claire. Et la ville a pris une décision réfléchie de ne pas fermer les portes de la succursale de Valois parce qu'elle prit reconnaissance de son importance dans sa communauté.
Les bibliothèques publiques, en général, ont une mission d'éducation, une mission de partage de connaissances et de communauté. Donc, d'être ici dans une vieille école, de savoir qu'on est dans une école, pour la bibliothèque, c'était quelque chose de très important et très significatif. Non seulement parce que quand on est ici, on sent qu'il y a de l'histoire, on sent qu'il y a une valeur historique à l'édifice, mais aussi parce que l'école avait aussi une mission d'éducation. Donc, on rejoint la même mission, l'information, d'éducation et un besoin d'être ensemble.
Nous sommes fiers de faire partie de l'histoire de ce bâtiment et nous sommes prêts à poursuivre l'aventure.
We would like to thank the City of Pointe Claire and the Valois Library for their continued support of West Island citizen advocacy. Happy centennial to 68th Prince Edward.
So let's celebrate this building as a remarkable reminder of this community's early beginnings in that golden age, its success as an independent community, pioneers of the lakeshore as the creators of the first public library, and a staple of education as strong as the structure itself. Each of the structures, what we have today, the cute rectangle, and the original square. It's not just a library today, it's a legacy, and it's a window into our past. Happy 100 years, cute little red building, to the next 100 years.